Hey Cancerians, how y'all doing? Welcome. We're going to be taking a look at your February through March up until the spring equinox reading here, looking at your Imbolc season. So let's talk about your meditation. I saw the image of a polar bear in a snowy terrain, go figure. And I saw this polar bear, it felt a bit lost to me. I will say polar bear medicine is very much about ancestry, familial ties. It could also refer to a sense of obligation around our responsibilities or, our role within a particular family unit, within a particular relationship, going, oh, well, this is what's expected of me. This is how it's always been, or this is, sort of a pattern that has been established even unknowingly, and I'm looking around going, oh, okay, like how did I get here? Like into this position, into this role, into this energy, into this particular dynamic, not in a negative way, just in a way where everything seeks to find a balance and a counterpart, right? So there's something around that coming up for you in this season that I feel like is going to be a bit of a highlight. I saw this polar bear looking at this spider web that was stretched out between these branches, right, on a tree. And I felt like this polar bear was waiting for something to happen with this web. Like there was no spider on the web, by the way. It was just the web. And I felt like this polar bear was like waiting for something, waiting for the time. And I saw this train on a track pull up behind the polar bear. And I do feel like, just to make it clear, Cancerian, you are the polar bear in this story. I saw this train pull up behind the bear. And it was like waiting for the bear to get on, but the polar bear did not want to get on the train. And it was just waiting. It was looking this way, right ahead of it at this spiderless web. And the train was behind it, and it kept, leaving and then coming back. And I saw the seasons change as well. It was like there in the winter. No, I'm not going to get on it. Okay, well, then I'll come back in the spring. Oh, you're not going to get on? Oh, okay, I'll come back in the summer. And then I saw all of these seasons pass, like a fun little time montage. And then finally I saw it sort of come back around to this spring, which is the end of the period we're looking at here. And I saw this bear finally was like, you know what, I'm not going to wait anymore. I'm going to get on this train. And I saw it turn around and start moving towards the train. And as it did, it transformed from a white polar bear into a brown grizzly bear. I saw the landscape change from a frozen landscape into one that was very lush and green and spring-like with flowers, which is also bear medicine, because bears teach us about how to know when to hibernate and be still, and when to emerge when the seasons change, and how to conserve and store our energy without feeling guilty or feeling that sort of sense of obligation around how we spend our time. Also looking at rest as an act of resistance, right? Going, no, I'm going to take this for myself without all of the, societal ideas or even my own ideas about, what I should, quote, be doing at any given time. So there's something around that for you, Cancerian, in this Imbolc season. And I do want to point out that, in the Northern Hemisphere, in the Southern Hemisphere, it's, it's a similar vibe. It's just on the opposite, end of the spectrum there. It's like the two halves here. But speaking from a, Imbolc context, we are still very much in the time where we are going towards the equinox. So there is this sense of being in between seasons. And that's the same if you're in the South as well, in the Southern Hemisphere. So in this time of being in between seasons, I do feel like there's this call to allow yourself to simply be where you are without rushing ahead. I do feel like there is this sense of wanting or needing to let go of something that maybe you've been waiting on or were expecting or were hoping for. And I feel like there's something better, right? You know how like when we manifest, we say, something like this or better in divine timing. I do feel like there's something better that is going to be coming up for you when this season is coming to a close. And I do feel like you will be most ready for that if you allow yourself to simply be where you are. And I'm also hearing, healing some aspects of self that want to come forward and just announce themselves through stillness, in stillness, right? Because when we're doing the most and we don't make time to be still, like we do in the certain times of year that call for it, right? Things have a way of not really being given room or space to come up for healing and to be seen. Now your animal for Imbolc is lizard, which is so perfect because lizards are also about energy conservation. I have a lizard, so I know a little bit about this. And it's fascinating because when they're still, they embody a level of stillness that's like, whoa, are you alive in there? Like, it's very, very still. But then the minute it's time to feed, the minute that they're warmed up and heated up, right? Because when it's cold, they go very still. When they're warm, then their blood's flowing, right? Because they're cold-blooded creatures, and they're moving so quickly. So I feel like that's something coming in for you as well, is going through the rest of this Imbolc season and then being ready when it, spring turns around the wheel. Now, your oracle here is River Rocks even, and it says, go with the current, dear one, find peace in letting go. Let life wash over your soul and welcome your becoming. This is really, really beautiful for you. And I do feel like, again, it's speaking to that aspect of healing. You have this full moon here as well, which also speaks to Cancerian energy because you guys, of course, are ruled by the moon. So I'm really getting a sense as well that with these other cards here at play, that you're really being called to allow yourself to lean into those primal feelings of what you're being directed to do and how to spend your time during this next, 6 or so week period. In your place of challenges, you have Queen of Cups. Now, this is fascinating because this is all about feeling your feelings, connecting to your intuition and your emotions. The fact that this is coming up in your place of challenge to me speaks of, perhaps needing a little bit of a helping hand or some inspiration about your own ability to adapt. Because this is about adaptability with the moose here, because the moose can, do quite well underwater, right? The water moose energy here, but also on land. So there is something coming here that when we submerge ourselves in the water, it's like we're willing to go into a form of stasis. And I feel like that's really coming up for you right now. Going back to that image of the spider web, the spider only catches their prey when it moves within the web, right? But if the prey remains very, very still, and the spider it can't really latch onto it in the same way, right? Because it picks up the vibrations of movement. I'm really hearing for you guys to really lean into what's left of this, winter season, or if you're in the South, the summer season, because it's funny, in the Southern Hemisphere, there's also this aspect of being still as well, but in the, intense heat. So there is this, sort of common experience right now in the collective of being called to stillness, while at the same time keeping your mind active and open for what might lie ahead for you and really tuning in. So be cautioned against making yourself busy without really good reason, okay? It's like say no to busy work is what I'm hearing. It's interesting here because your victory here is the Hermit and your advice is the Ten of Pentacles. It's really fascinating because the fact that your victory is coming up as the Hermit, that's about isolation. It's about being in your own energy, but it's also about asking the right questions. Ooh, I just got shivvies. And that's so perfect. If you think about Virgo energy embodied, that's what it's really about. It's about asking the right questions so that the right answers are available to you, right? Because so often we ask the wrong questions and we find ourselves going in a loop of, why am I not where I want to be? Why am I not feeling, like I'm on my path here? And it's really because we are focusing on other things that are adjacent to what the actual question wants to be, but not quite on the money. So we assume the Hermit position so that we can clarify the questions, not receive the answers. And that feels like very much what you're being called to do. Your advice with the Ten of Pentacles is so brilliant. You have another full moon here, right? With this mirror image here. And it also looks like the full moon here and the praying mantis's, antenna here. It's beautiful with the moon and the fullness and also the call to your intuition and your own home of, psychic energy as well. The Ten of Pentacles coming up here in your place of advice is really about considering the bigger picture and long term. And that's really stunning and lovely because I'm also really drawn to the fact that we have this, rabbit. Is that a rabbit hole? Is that what it's called? I don't know. Burrow. And I was seeing the bear transform and kind of that transition as well of home versus being out of the home. These are a bit of counter energies here with the Hermit and the Ten of Pentacles. But the fact that this is coming up as your advice, it's like if you can successfully assume the Hermit position then your 10 of Pentacles, meaning what do you want your legacy to be? What do you want your life to look like way down the road? What kind of ancestor do you want to be, right? Whether this is to the children that you are biologically going to have, or even the people who are going to follow in the footsteps of the kind of work that you do, whatever context this is for you. It's like, what legacy do you want to leave behind? And also, when you think about your life as an elder, or even further down the road somewhat, if you are already approaching your elderhood, like what do you want that to feel and look like? What is it going to mean to you when you're coming to the end of your personal life cycle and you're looking up going, you know, how did I live my life? Was that a life well lived? And it's a deep question. It's a big question. It's an important question, and a question that can provide some sincere, life-changing illumination, I would say. You know, your outcome here is the 6 of Ether, which is the 6 of Swords. This is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Got a nice, cute little pug here. So, you know, the 6 of Swords is my favorite in the whole sword suit, and that's because it represents a transition to happier and more peaceful times. This is about inner peace. It's about a calm and clear mind. It's about understanding that change really is the great constant in our human experience, and that we can flow through times of change with a clear and free mind, knowing that we don't need to know what is going to be at the end of our road or even the next step. We just have to know that we're willing to take that next step and move forward in faith, in confidence, knowing that if we do the best that we can do in terms of following our intuition and making choices that we can live with, then that's all there is. And that's truly all you need to be responsible for, ultimately. You know, all of these butterflies here also, it's interesting because I saw that spider and then, you know, the butterfly here, all of these symbols of transition and metamorphosis. And it really does feel like there's this aspect here with this sort of darker, you know, fairy person here, going back to this hermit energy. I do feel like there is this aspect with the rainbow and the happier days, the river, the transition. You have river twice here, river rocks, and then this image of the river here, Queen of Cups with the water. I do feel like there is this really strong energy about allowing yourself to feel whatever pain or disappointment, annoyance, self-confidence, challenges, whatever that is. I'm really hearing that the more that you can allow yourself to fully look at it and identify the questions that those feelings arise in you, the more easily you will be able to transition into the next chapter of your life that very much wants to feel like spring and very much wants to feel like, you know, contextualizing your end game and making that very clear for you so that the steps that you're meant to take next that are going to lead to your happiness and your fulfillment are going to be very clear to you, and you're going to feel very confident in them. And it really feels like there's an aspect here of Imbolc equals paving the road forward for you. And it really does feel like an ABC and a 1, 2, 3. But in order to get there, again, returning to your advice of, you know, looking at the bigger picture of something, right? And not just focusing on the close-up day-to-day, like, you know, egoic sort of like aspects of life that are so easy to get deterred by and distracted by, but really, really look at the moon. Right? I feel like the fact that these rabbits are like looking at the moon is quite literal for you. And then we have the hermit with the moon right here and the river rocks here with the moon. There really is that aspect of allowing yourself to connect with your inner feelings and also your intuitive self, right? And again, we access our intuition the best, in my opinion, when we allow ourselves to be in stillness with what? 6 of Swords, with a calm and clear mind, connected to breath and being willing to see. Ooh, I just got shivers. I feel like that's coming up for you as a big theme. It is safe to see. I am willing to see. And allow yourself to become aware of what's really going on within you. I feel like there's a compass. Well, everyone has one, but I feel like your inner compass is wanting to show you something and move in a particular direction. But it's almost as if like that spider web, it can't lock on to your true intention and what your soul is asking for, because there's not enough room, time, stillness, or even allowance for it to do so. So I'm really hearing the more you can be in stillness, be that lizard, conserve that energy and allow yourself to really sit with what wants to come up for you, the better. I'm also hearing dream time. You know, this is a time that is ripe for dreaming. It is the season of it, right? The lizard energy here as well is also about dream work. It can connect us to Knight of Cups energy, which speaks of having very loving relationships, but also feeling truly in love with the work that we do, whether or not we get paid for it. It can be passion projects or just, you know, our volunteer work, what we do that really makes us feel most like ourselves. You're really being called to be as still as possible in some way, shape, or form. If you're currently quite busy, that's all right. You can find stillness within that busyness by taking, you know, I'm going to take 10, you know, at this time of day and really sit with what's coming up for me and choose to just focus on my inner moon. And your inner moon is going to illuminate so much for you during this time period so that you are ready to board the train, the train of opportunity that's going to be coming for you. You know, and I feel like it's been coming, but I feel like it's going to come back around in the spring. There could have even been an opportunity or something that was missed or you weren't quite ready for. And it feels like I'm not sure if you're aware of it or not. Sometimes these things can be quite subtle. And it's like, I'm just going to do a quiet knock on the door and go, hey, you ready? You ready? No, not yet. Okay, I'll come back around. And so I do feel like there's something in that in the spring. And it's like, it's timing really is everything. Timing is everything. That is so much a theme of this reading. And I feel like with your outcome here of the Six of Swords, this is you transitioning into a new chapter of your life that really feels like it is the product of you being willing to change and also really be open to seeing the changes that want to happen within you. Because this is internal, y'all. This is internal. This is feeling based. This is intuitive based. And it's going to lead to those external changes in your life. So it's sort of like the internal changes that lead to external changes and successes. And, you know, it really feels like a promotion in your circumstances in some way, shape, or form. So timing is everything. It really is beautiful, Cancer, because I do see you working really well within this season and going with the flow, like your oracle here of river rocks. You know, going with the flow of all things, because if you think about the river rocks, what gives them their shape over time is allowing the water to, you know, move over them and move around them and let it to shape you. So I'm really hearing to be the rocks during this time. Be the rock in the river. Woo! Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, my beautiful Cancerians. This was such a pleasure to be back with you. I just did the 2024 videos year ahead. Now I'm back with Imbolc. I'll be returning as the wheel turns and with other videos as well. I would love to hear from you, Cancerians. You guys are, you know, I feel like most of my views come from Aquarians, but you guys are some of my lower viewed vids, and I feel like as a result I don't really hear from you as much in the comments, and I would love to. So please, if you're watching this, and even if you have a Cancerian prominent placement that's not your sun but another position, my Cancer moons, my Cancer risings, my Cancer Venuses, whoever you are, you know, holler at me in the comments. I want to know how this lands with you, how it's resonating. I'm so excited to be back with you guys, and I would love to connect with you guys on a more personal basis. I respond to every comment that I get because this is why I do it, to connect with you guys. And with that being said, just thank you so much for being here. And as always, thank you for being you. And be well. Until next time.